The fog rolled in too fast. 1 minute, the road ahead of us was clear under the yellow glow of the headlights. The next, it was like someone had dumped a wall of white paint across the highway. Everything disappeared beyond 10 feet. "Holy crap," Marcus muttered from the passenger seat. "Slow down." I am slowing down. I eased my foot off the gas and gripped the steering wheel tighter. We were somewhere in northern Oregon, driving through endless forest roads after leaving a friend's cabin party way later than we should have. The GPS had already lost signal 20 minutes ago. No streetlights, no other cars, just trees and fog. In the back seat, Jenna lifted her head from the hoodie she'd been sleeping on. "Are we close?" she asked sleepily. "No clue," Marcus answered. I forced a laugh. "As long as we don't crash into a deer, we're good." The fog thickened. Not normal fog either. This stuff moved strangely. It swirled low across the road in heavy waves, almost like smoke drifting through water. The high beams barely helped. Then Jenna suddenly sat upright. "Did you guys see that?" "See what?" I asked. "Someone standing on the side of the road." Marcus twisted around. "Where?" "I don't know. I think we already passed them." I checked the mirrors instinctively, but the fog swallowed everything behind us. "There's nobody out here," I said. But honestly, I wasn't sure. A few minutes later, we saw the sign. "Welcome to Bridge Creek Population, 312. The sign looked ancient, covered in moss and half hidden behind trees. "Was this town on the map?" Marcus asked. "No." The road narrowed as we entered the town. Old buildings appeared through the fog. Closed gas stations, dark houses, rusted fences. Everything looked abandoned, not empty. Abandoned, the kind of place where people left in a hurry years ago. My headlights swept across a diner window. Inside, every chair was flipped upside down on the tables. But then, one chair slowly rocked back and forth. Jenna saw it too. "Okay," she whispered. "Keep driving." I didn't argue. The farther we drove into town, the quieter everything became. Even the sound of the tires on the road felt muffled. No animals, no wind, nothing. Then the radio crackled to life by itself. At first it was static, then a voice. "Turn around." Marcus stared at the dashboard. "Before it sees you." The voice sounded distorted, wet somehow. I slammed the radio off. Nobody spoke after that. We reached an intersection with a blinking red light hanging overhead. That's when the engine suddenly died. The car rolled forward silently before stopping in the middle of the road. "No, no, no, no!" I twisted the key again. Nothing. Outside, the fog drifted past the windows like living breath. Marcus checked his phone. "No signal." "Mine either," Jenna whispered. Then we heard footsteps. Slow footsteps. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Somewhere outside the car, moving around us. Marcus locked the doors immediately. The footsteps stopped beside my window. I couldn't see anything except white fog. Then a shape appeared. Tall. Too tall. Its face stayed hidden in the mist, but I could make out long arms hanging at its sides. Jenna started crying quietly in the back seat. The thing leaned closer toward the glass, and suddenly every window fogged from the outside at once. Not condensation, handprints, dozens of them, like people were pressing against the car from all directions. Marcus yelled, "Start the car!" I tried again. The engine sputtered once. Outside, the tall figure tilted its head unnaturally far to one side. Then all the handprints dragged downward together. Screek! The sound of nails scraping glass surrounded us. The engine roared back to life. I hit the gas immediately. The tires screeched as we tore through the intersection. The fog behind us churned violently in the headlights, and for one horrible second, I saw multiple figures standing inside it, watching us leave. We drove for almost 20 straight minutes before the fog finally began to thin. Then suddenly, clear skies, stars overhead, normal air. It was like crossing an invisible wall. Marcus looked behind us through the rear window. The road behind the car was completely empty. No town, no fog, nothing. Even the sign for Bridge Creek was gone. When we finally reached a real gas station near dawn, I asked the old cashier if he knew a town called Bridge Creek. The man froze. Then he said quietly, "That town burned down in 1987. I laughed nervously. "No, we literally just drove through it." The cashier slowly shook his head. "There's nothing there anymore." Then he added, "People still see it when the fog gets bad. And I haven't driven through Oregon at night since." The first time I saw the fog, it was sitting perfectly still outside my apartment window. Not drifting, not moving, just sitting there, like it was waiting. I lived alone on the 4th floor of an old apartment complex outside Chicago. The building was cheap, badly maintained, and full of weird noises at night. But rent was affordable, and I worked late shifts anyway. Most nights I got home around 1 or 2 a.m. That night, I remember unlocking my door and immediately noticing how quiet everything felt. Usually the hallway buzzed with distant TVs or barking dogs. Nothing. I stepped inside my apartment and looked out the living room window. The parking lot below was buried under thick white fog. You couldn't even see the cars. I checked my weather app. Clear skies, no fog warning. Weird. I showered, microwaved leftovers, and turned on YouTube before bed. That's when I heard knocking. 3 soft knocks. Tap, tap, tap. At first I thought it came from another apartment. Then it happened again. Closer. Tap, tap, tap. From the window, I slowly looked toward the living room. The blinds were closed, but something moved behind them. I froze. "Hello?" No response. I grabbed a kitchen knife, not because I thought it'd help much, but because it felt better than nothing, and walked toward the window. The knocking stopped. I pulled the blinds open. Nothing there. Just fog pressing against the glass from outside. But the strange part? My apartment faced the parking lot. There was no balcony, no fire escape, nothing outside that window except a 4-story drop. I locked the window and went to bed anyway, trying to convince myself I imagined it. Around 3:17 a.m., I woke up to my phone vibrating. Unknown number. Half asleep, I answered. Static. Then a whisper. "Don't look outside." The call disconnected. I sat there in bed, staring into the darkness. Then came the knocking again. Tap, tap, tap. This time from my bedroom window. My chest tightened instantly. There was absolutely no way someone could be outside it. I lived 4 floors up. I forced myself not to move. The whisper from the phone replayed in my head. "Don't look outside." The knocking continued for almost a minute. Then it stopped. Silence. I barely slept after that. The next morning, the fog was gone. But when I checked the bedroom window, there were fingerprints on the outside of the glass. Long fingerprints. Too long to look human. I told my coworker Eric about it later that day. He laughed and said I was watching too many horror videos. But when I got home that night, he texted me. "Bro, wasn't your building called Ashwood Apartments?" I replied. Yes. A minute later, he sent a screenshot of an old newspaper article. Tenants report. Figure in the fog before 1998. Fire. My stomach dropped. The article explained that years earlier, a fire had killed several tenants on the upper floors. Survivors claimed they saw a pale person standing inside the fog, outside their windows, before alarms went off. I almost left the apartment right then, but I couldn't afford a hotel. That night, I shoved a chair under my front door and kept every light on. At 2:46 a.m., the fog returned. I watched it rise slowly through the parking lot outside like floodwater. Then my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I declined it. Instantly. Tap. 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 At the living room window. Then another knock from the bedroom. Then another from the kitchen window. All at once. Something circled the apartment outside. I could hear movement against the walls, scratching, sliding, breathing. Then the power went out. Every light died. The apartment fell completely dark except for pale white fog glowing outside the windows. My phone flashlight shook in my hand as I backed toward the hallway. Then I heard the whisper again, right beside my ear. "Look outside." I spun around. Nobody there. But slowly, every window in the apartment began fogging from the outside inward. Words appeared across the glass. "Let me in!" I ran for the front door. The chair blocking it suddenly slid backward on its own. The doorknob started turning. Slowly. Carefully. As if someone on the other side already had a key. I yanked the door open, expecting a person. The hallway was empty. But fog filled it from floor to ceiling, and deep inside that white haze. A tall figure stood motionless at the far end of the corridor, watching me. I slammed the door shut and locked it again. Then I heard footsteps approaching from outside. Slow, dragging, closer, closer, until they stopped directly outside my door. No knocking this time, just breathing. Wet breathing. I stayed frozen on the floor until sunrise. When morning came, the fog disappeared again. So did the fingerprints. So did the words on the windows. But I moved out 3 days later. Before leaving, I asked the landlord if anyone else ever complained about strange things during foggy nights. He stared at me for a long moment before answering. "Only the people on the 4th floor." Everyone in my hometown knew about Route 16. It was the kind of road parents warned their kids about growing up. Long stretches of empty forest, almost no streetlights, and miles without gas stations or houses. During the day, it looked normal enough, but at night it felt wrong, especially in late fall, when fog rolled down from the hills and covered the road so thick you could barely see the hood of your car. People had stories about that road. Most of them sounded fake. Drivers seeing figures in the trees, people hearing voices on dead radios, cars disappearing for hours and showing up miles away with no explanation. I never believed any of it. At least, not until the night Tyler almost hit that woman standing in the fog. It happened back in 2022, around early November. I was 19 then, working part-time at an auto shop while taking community college classes. Tyler had invited me to a bonfire party at his cousin's property, about an hour outside town. There were 6 or 7 of us there all together, drinking, music, people messing around near the woods. Nothing unusual. By around 1 a.m., everyone started leaving because the temperature dropped hard. Tyler had been drinking, so I offered to drive his truck back. It was me driving, Tyler in the passenger seat, and Olivia and Nate in the back. I remember checking the GPS before leaving. The fastest route home was Route 16. Olivia immediately complained. Seriously? That road sucks at night. Tyler laughed. What, you scared of ghost stories now? She rolled her eyes but didn't argue. At first the drive felt normal. The truck smelled like smoke from the bonfire, and everyone was tired. Nate had headphones around his neck, humming quietly to himself, while Olivia stared out the window. About 20 minutes into the drive, the fog started appearing between the trees, thin patches at first, then thicker. Then suddenly the entire road disappeared into white. Damn, I muttered, slowing down. The fog swallowed the headlights. Wasn't normal fog either. It moved strangely, almost like it was drifting against the wind. Tyler leaned forward slightly. Can you still see the lines? Barely. The truck crawled forward. No other cars passed us. No lights. Nothing. Just forest and fog. Then Nate suddenly sat upright in the back seat. Did we already pass that church? What church? I asked. The little white church back there. Nobody answered for a second. Then Olivia turned around slowly. There wasn't a church. Nate frowned. Yeah, there was. Right on the side of the road. I glanced in the mirror. Nothing behind us except fog. You're seeing things, Tyler said. But Nate kept staring backward like he wasn't joking anymore. About 5 minutes later, Olivia quietly said, Okay, now I saw it too. What? The church. A small white building appeared briefly through the fog to our right. Old wood siding, steeple, one glowing yellow light in the window. Then it vanished behind us. Tyler looked confused. How the hell did we miss that coming out here? Nobody had an answer. The radio crackled with static suddenly. I reached to lower the volume, but it kept getting louder. Then, underneath the static, someone whispered something. At first, I couldn't make it out. Then, clearer. Turn around. Olivia immediately grabbed the dashboard. Nope. Nope. I hate that. Tyler smacked the radio until it shut off. We all laughed nervously after, but nobody sounded genuine. A few minutes later, we passed the church again. This time, all four of us saw it. Same glowing window, same cracked parking lot, same crooked sign out front. St. Luke's Chapel. That's impossible, Olivia whispered. I checked the GPS. No signal. The map kept spinning like it didn't know where we were. Tyler looked out the windshield carefully now. You're sure we're going the right way? I haven't turned once. The fog thickened even more. Visibility dropped to maybe 10 feet. Then the truck headlights illuminated someone standing in the road ahead. I slammed the brakes instantly. The truck skidded sideways slightly before stopping. A woman stood maybe 30 feet in front of us, barefoot, wearing a pale nightgown. Her hair covered most of her face. What the hell? Nate whispered. The woman didn't move. She just stood there in the fog with her head lowered. Tyler rolled down the window slightly. Ma'am? Are you okay? The woman slowly lifted one arm, pointing toward the woods. Then she spoke, except her mouth barely moved. Don't let them stop. Her voice sounded distant, wrong somehow, like multiple voices talking together. Olivia immediately said, Drive, right now. I didn't need convincing. I steered around the woman carefully. As we passed her, Tyler looked back through the rear window. Then he went completely pale. She's gone. What? She's not there anymore. I checked the mirror. Nothing behind us except fog. No footprints. No woman. The truck suddenly jerked hard beneath us. The engine sputtered once, then again. Come on, I muttered. The dashboard lights flickered briefly before stabilizing, and then Nate quietly said, "Guys." He pointed toward the trees. Figures stood between them. At first I thought they were tree trunks. Then one moved. Tall shapes hidden deep in the fog, standing perfectly still beside the road. Watching us. There were dozens of them. None came close to the truck. They just stood there silently. Tyler locked the doors, even though they already were. "Keep driving," he said quietly. Nobody joked anymore after that. We drove another 10 minutes before seeing headlights ahead through the fog. Another car. Relief hit me instantly. The car sat sideways across part of the road with its driver's door hanging open. Hazard lights blinked weakly. I slowed carefully. "Maybe they crashed," Olivia whispered. As we approached, the headlights illuminated the inside of the car. Empty. But the windshield was covered in handprints from the inside. Long streaks dragged downward across the glass, like someone had clawed at it. Tyler grabbed my arm. "Don't stop." The fog around the abandoned car looked thicker somehow. Darker. Then movement appeared behind it. A person stepped out into the road. Tall. Too tall. Its arms hung almost to its knees. I hit the gas instantly. The truck roared forward. The figure didn't move out of the way. At the last second, it tilted its head unnaturally sideways. Its face stayed hidden in shadow. But I caught one detail before we passed it. No eyes, just darkness. Olivia screamed. The truck sped deeper into the fog. Then came the sound behind us. Footsteps. Running footsteps. Fast. Much too fast. Nate twisted around. "Oh my God." I looked in the mirror. Something ran behind the truck inside the fog. Not human movement. Its body jerked violently with each stride like its limbs bent wrong. And it was catching up. Tyler shouted, "Faster!" I floored it. The speedometer climbed past 70. The thing behind us got closer anyway. Then suddenly, bang. Something slammed against the truck bed. Olivia screamed again. Another impact hit the side of the truck hard enough to shake the doors. I could hear scratching along the metal, like fingernails dragging across it. The truck fishtailed slightly, and then the radio turned back on by itself. Static exploded through the speakers. Underneath it came dozens of overlapping whispers. "Stop the truck." "Stay with us." "Don't leave." Tyler ripped at the radio knob uselessly. The whispers grew louder. Then all at once, silence. The fog vanished. Completely. The truck burst out onto clear road under open night sky. I nearly swerved from how sudden it was. Streetlights appeared ahead. A gas station. Civilization. I pulled into the parking lot, shaking so badly I could barely breathe. Nobody spoke for almost a full minute. Then Tyler finally whispered, "Look at the back." We got out slowly. Deep scratches covered both sides of the truck bed. Long parallel marks carved through the paint down to bare metal. Not branches, not random damage. They looked deliberate, like something had dragged its hands across the truck while running beside us. An older cashier inside the gas station noticed us staring. "You kids come through Route 16? Tyler nodded carefully. The man's expression changed immediately. "Fog tonight?" Nobody answered. The cashier sighed quietly. Then he said something I still think about all the time. "You shouldn't stop for people out there." Olivia swallowed hard. "What are those things?" The old man looked out toward the road beyond the gas station windows. For a few seconds, I thought he wasn't going to answer. Then he said, "Depends what followed you out." None of us slept that night. And the weirdest part? The next morning, Tyler checked the dash cam footage from the drive. Almost the entire recording was corrupted, just static, except for one clear frame near the end, a single image frozen between the glitches, the truck speeding through fog, and standing directly behind it, the woman in the white nightgown, smiling. If you ever find yourself driving through thick fog on an empty road at night, keep moving, and whatever you see standing out there, don't stop.